Okay, I should be on the air, we hope here. Um, I am a ThatFontGuy, and I am working on a writing system for the Zenati Berber languages. And just confirming. Yep, okay, so I'm now technically live. Good. I'm never sure. I regularly stream on Twitch, and I'm never quite sure about YouTube. Uh, YouTube has a far larger audience, and is a fantastic environment and everything else like that, but it's not as evolved uh, as Twitch is with things. Anyway, you don't need to see me. Um, actually, you don't want that one there. I want this one. No, this one. Um, again, I'm not as organized either. Here, uh, this is my current attempted design. Um, apparently, the Berber languages, which are spoken from like Morocco over to Algeria, have a writing system called Tifinagh. I'm probably pronouncing all these things wrong, so forgive me, but Tifinagh, but it doesn't actually adequately represent the Eastern Berber languages at all. I can't remember all the names, but Shawiya and Shenwa are two of them. And apparently they're not that well represented. There's sounds that they need to represent that aren't present in Tifinagh as a writing system, and it's just kind of awkward. Now they do have the Latin alphabet, and they have a method of doing that too, but it's not theirs at all. And there was a speaker of Shawiya who approached me on Reddit and said that they really liked one of the designs that I'd done for a Conlang script, and they wondered if I would be willing to try creating something for Shawiya or Zenati, which is the overall language family, I believe. So I thought that sounded fascinating, and I firmly believe that every spoken language should have a method of writing itself down. I mean, writing being written. It's how we preserve. Uh, it's how we preserve our cultures, memories, the past, everything. Right? It's important to be able to write stuff down. It's how you keep a language going too. If it doesn't have a writing system, then people will use another writing system and it will get marginalized, and that's happened for a lot of languages. So I'm firmly behind that. I helped create a font for the Ndebe project, which is a writing system that a speaker of the Igbo language in Nigeria created to write Igbo based on their local art. I was part of a project for a language called Afaka, but that seems to have fallen by the wayside, or at least they stopped talking to me. I don't know, but that one didn't happen. And of course, I've created a pile of different conscript writing systems for conscripts I was working on, which is how the speaker of Shawiya found me. I created a writing system called New Demotic, which was based on Egyptian hieratic and demotic symbols. And I just wonder what it would look like if they made it to the modern day. So what you're looking at here are the basic glyphs that I think are needed. Um, and I've tried to keep them pretty simple and straightforward. So they're not overly elaborate or anything like that. They're simple, solid shapes for the most part. I have to play with it a little bit, but um, the idea was to create something which can be uh, distinct and not look like any other current writing system, and to base it on the shapes that were part of the ancient Libico Berber writing system. So let me find that here. I'm going to flick through some screens here because here. These are the shapes that were part of like the Numitico stuff on the left here, left two columns, are the shapes that were used in ancient times to try and write these languages. Tifinagh are the ones on the right, which also evolved in ancient times, but are different. And so I've tried to take shapes from this when I was creating this here. So if you look, I'm going to flick back and forth between these. If you look here, let's see where here. I had to play with a lot of these and change them. But okay, F. F was this symbol here. And on my design, not that one, there. On my design, this is F. So I've twisted it and changed it slightly, but it's inspired by. That's the idea, right? Now, the way this works, not there, here. That spells out Zenati in my writing system there. So this is a very primitive font so far. I haven't done anything elaborate with it. That's one of the things I'm proposing to work on today. So there is Z. Here, if it was S, it's like that. If it's Z, it's like that. Z, and then I'm going to be a little bit all over the place here, but let me check something here. Okay. YouTube. Very odd. I'm trying to see whether or not content, maybe it's under there. No, live. There we go. No, I'm not showing up there either, which is odd. I thought I would check and see if there was actually anybody out there because I can't tell. Oh, I don't have chat open here, do I? I do not. That is a major thing to have kept going. Okay, so that's my wife telling me the sound is good at least. This is very YouTube is very primitive in a lot of ways. It's kind of funny. Okay, so the original writing system did not have vowels. It's like a Semitic bi and triconsonantal cluster language, like from the same Semitic family as Arabic, Egyptian, all the North African, Afro-Asiatic triconsonant languages. So it didn't have any vowels. So I've had to add vowels. So when you're here and you type E, it adds that shape on there. N, that shape there. A, that shape there. T, I. That would spell Zenati. So you would actually type in Zenati to get that result. Now, I am going to be putting some Adobe OpenType font scripting in here, which basically means I'm going to write some content in the features file that will display consonant clusters like, let's say, TH has its own symbol. So if I type in T or I type in H, I get two different things. But if I type in TH, I get that symbol there, which just happens to look like the H symbol there. And I'm going to add some of that stuff in there. It shouldn't be too complex, but I want to try and do it all right. Now, if I go back to here, and go to here, you will see that there are some of these symbols that have a little hook below them there. I'm using that to indicate voiced so that I can reduce the number of glyphs that are required. So this is P. This is B with the hook. Similarly, T and D, K and G, that sort of thing. Wherever it's voiced, it should have a hook. Wherever it's not voiced, it should not have a hook. That's the idea. I might have screwed some of that up in there, of course. It's always weird bending your brain around the logic of these things, but it is possible. I got to adjust that. Come on. Okay, and there was something else I was going to do here too. Oh, I've got to create classes for all these things. Haven't done that yet. What I've done is the eventual script will not have any capital letters. It'll be all lowercase. And I will put a features entry in there that treats uppercase characters as lowercase. So when you type it in, if you hit a, capital I, it won't type anything. It'll type the lowercase I is what it'll do. But for now, just doing the design here, I have stored some things in the uppercase part there. And that's why some of them are missing, because I'm just using this as additional things. So if we go back over to preview, I do not speak any of these Berber languages, but they have pharyngeal consonant clusters. And I have no idea how those are produced. I know what they look like in the IPA, and I've read up on it and stuff like that, but I don't really know how it sounds. I can't try and reproduce it. But you do have series like T, and the pharyngeal version in the Latin writing is indicated with a dot below it. So here you can type T period, and it will put a dot above it to indicate that it's pharyngeal. And similarly, D, notice it has the hook there, so it's T with a hook, makes it a D. But if I type period, it puts a dot above it. So we can indicate the pharyngeals there. We can indicate TH and DH. There are pharyngeals on M, R, S, and what else here? Not ZH. There is that symbol, but I don't remember. Oh, that's just a pharyngeal Z. So that would be Z with a pharyngeal, be like Z or something like that. I'm Z, I'm guessing. So it's been a bit of a problem in that I don't actually speak the language. So what I'm going to do is try and make a system that reflects what I can see in the phonology of the language, and then pass the font to the person that asked me about this, and let them try experimenting with it and make sure it works right, and actually reflects the language, and we'll find out where there's problems. Now, as I said, I did try and make these pretty basic shapes. So it's possible that there's going to be a few changes made because things get a little confusing to people visually. I hope they're distinctive enough. If we go back to preview here, and again, since I don't speak the language, there is Shawith. That is probably mispronounced, but that is what the Shawiya speakers call their language. So that is an example of perhaps the glyphs being too similar. I'm not sure. I tried to make sure that we avoided some of that by having all the vowels have a descender on them. And hopefully that helps. I don't want to put too much style in here. I could easily make it different by, putting curves in and things like that. But that detracts from trying to analyze whether or not things are confusing in the first place. And I want to fix that by using simple shapes. And if things are a little confusing, then I'll come up with a different glyph, right? Let's see, what else have we got here that we can go over. I do have T and K, not K, H. That might be a little too close, or it might be that the dot is enough to distinguish that. And it might be that I want to put the curve in here that I have on there. But no, actually I don't, because that is T and H, not K and H. K is that, with that being G. KH is now that simple. GH is that simple. I don't want to make it entirely featural. Now I'm going to check something here. I will just type that up again there. Zenati. I'm going to check something here and just see what's happening. Okay, good. That's showing there. That's good. Again there, Zenati. I'm going to check something here. I'm going to mute that because I don't want to have that happening there. Okay. So there is, in fact, nobody out there. That's okay. So let us carry on with this. Oh, I should show you the features file. So this is the features. I don't know if it's quite visible in there. Let me see if I can. No, I didn't want to do that. I wanted to do that. See if we can zoom that in a bit. Move that up to there. Move that over to there. Drag the whole thing over there and then increase the size of it so that it's a bit more readable. Okay, so this is what is called standard ligatures in the features file. One of the reasons I use the software I'm using, FontLab Studio 7, is because it has such good support for this. So what this does basically is every time you type a character on the keyboard, the font will look and see if it should apply any ligatures rules, and it will scroll through this and apply the first rule that it finds. If you put your rules into lookups, like I've done here, then it will check each lookup. So if somebody types in C followed by an H, it will just give you the C character. If somebody types in SH, it will give you the C character. That means basically you can type in C, CH, or SH, and you will get the sh character, right? If you type in DH, you will get a glyph named DH, GH, a glyph named GH, KH, X. So you could just type in X too. NG, you will get the capital N right now. So if we go back over to here, you will see that this is the capital N symbol, which is what I'm using for nung. If you go down here, you will see this is the GH symbol that a glyph that I was using for GH that I showed off a little earlier there. And the features file basically just redirects what text is being typed on the keyboard and determines whether or not it should do something. And all those sub-statements that are there are basically there to substitute a different glyph for a specific keyboard combination. So like I said, there is a keyboard command in there that I can use that will take all uppercase and turn it to lowercase. It's pretty simple. And I will be putting that in there. But first off, I have to make sure that all of these things are redirected properly. Like right now, D period. D with the pharyngeal, D period, is being stored up here as capital D. And what I want to do is actually have a glyph named for this. So I'm not using the uppercase value there, which means I've got to create a glyph. Well, that isn't showing everything there. Why is it doing that? We're going to drag the window down just a little bit like that so you can see the bottom of it. I'm going to add them in here. These two glyphs here are in red because I think I don't need them. And that one there is just there to store shapes that I might want to gain later. So I guess the first thing to do is to figure out might be to add classes, which means I need a text editor and a new file. And we will look at what we need. We need A, B, C, D, E, F, G, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, and Z. But we also need bring that down a little lower so I can see over top of it. We also need D. I guess I'll just name them D dot and things like that. H bar, which is going to be this glyph right here. I'm using that same symbol there. It might need to have something else done for it down the road. It doesn't really matter. M dot, NG, R dot, S dot, T dot, Z dot, and then we scroll down to the bottom here. And I don't have enough monitors, and I have 3 monitors. Go figure. DH, I don't need to capitalize them like I did there. GH, TH, GW, and KW, and possibly NW and NY. I'm debating those two because if I go over here and type in N, W, and Y, those are the shapes. If I type in NW, it displays the same way the glyph does. If I type in NY, it displays the same way the glyph does. So I probably don't need those two. So if we come back over here, I will leave those two out. Back to my text file. And that is probably all I need for the moment, I think. As basic glyphs. So we're going to go in there and copy that, and then we're going to come over to the classes, and we are going to add a class, which is an OpenType class. And Oh, this is very confusing. We don't need that there. So Control V should put all of those in there. And when I click off, they should stay there. Now, we want to rename that because I don't want it called extras. And I think I have to do that down in here. Used to be don't know if that did that or not. It did not. Extras. I don't know why that has extras in there. It shouldn't. Ah, that's where I rename it now. Medial. Right? That right? Yes. And we can get rid of that. Oh, no, it isn't there. That's okay. Good. Let me see if I can drag that a little bit larger. I'll tell you, they changed my font software on me, and I'm not sure it's an improvement. There we go. Okay, so this is now a class. We don't need the word medial there because that used to be how you changed that, but not now. This is now a class of are there any missing? Ah, yes. Okay, so there are a bunch of ones that are missing here that have not been created yet. So what I'm going to do is go back to here and go up to the, oh no, I can actually do it with the previews. Features. So if I go to features and I click on compile, it is not doing it. Why is it not doing it? Oh, it has created them already. Sorry. You can see them in down here. So it did create them already, including one in Arabic, which it's created Nung Arabic, which I don't want it to be called. So we are going to rename that. Are you on the right screen? You are. Rename Glyph. NG. Done. We will get rid of the Unicode entry and say rename. And it didn't do it. It is called nung, but it's not displaying that symbol, which is a little odd. And nothing showing there. Okay, good. Okay, so having done that, I now need to move this glyph, Control A, Control Copy, over to lowercase dh, which I could have just renamed, I guess, and reset the spacing over to here. And then we can mark that one as red, flag, red. Then GH, Control A, copy, and move over to here, Control V, and reset the spacing. They changed a pile of things between version 5 of this and version 7, which is what I'm using now. And my God, they changed things. I can't find half the things that I'm wanting to use, which is funny. Okay, so we're going to take D dot, Control A, Control Copy, and move it down here to D dot. Replace what it put in there. That means I need to go glyph, decompose, select all that, delete, and paste. And the spacing is fine. So those three should now be fine, so I can put those in magenta. H bar is that. Control, well, I could just copy this part here. There. Control copy. H bar. Control, oh, decompose. Glyph. Decompose. Control V. Didn't do it. Fine, we'll copy the whole thing. There we go, and the spacing's fine. That one can become magenta. That means that H bar can now be flagged none. We're going to get rid of it. D dot can be flagged none because we're going to get rid of it. I guess I go through each of them. M dot. Control A, control copy. Back down. M dot. Glyph. Decompose. I know I could have it building all these things, and that'll be a thing I work on too, because then I don't have to keep doing it. But it's not that many glyphs. Flag, magenta, so I don't mind doing it individually. We will get rid of those two. We weren't using them. Delete. Yes. We will get rid of that and that because we're not using them anymore. Delete. Yes. M dot, we can now deflag. We're going to get rid of it. Different, getting rid of ones that are established parts of the writing system already. Where is, oh, that's nung, right. So Control A, Control copy, down to nung, Control V, spacing on the right sidebar to there. Because to begin with, I'm not even looking at kerning or anything like that. Flag, magenta, flag none. The flagging of these things is purely for your own internal reference. It doesn't make any difference to the way the font works at all. Hopefully that is clear. Okay, R dot down here to R dot and decompose. Glyph, decompose. Control A, delete, Control V. Spacing's fine. S dot. Where is S? S dot. Control A, Control copy. This is really just sort of paperwork. S dot, decompose. I have noticed one thing with the font software. There's plenty of shortcuts for things. There are no shortcuts for any of the things I do on a regular basis. So I can't just keyboard shortcut things. I have to use the menu for a lot of things, which is kind of annoying. Okay, those two could be magenta. T dot. Oh, we can flag none. Flag none. T dot. Down here to T dot. Decompose. Select and replace. And the spacing is fine. And you can be magentaed. Flag, magenta. That is a very bright pink. Z dot. T dot we did. Flag none. Z dot. Select all, Control copy, back. Deflag it while I'm here. And go down to Z dot. And decompose. No, decompose. There. Select it all, get rid of it, replace it. The spacing is fine. And flag that one. Flag magenta. Now, we didn't need that glyph. That was a mistake on my part, so we'll get rid of it. And what we're missing is TH. TH there. Control A, Control copy, back, deflag, and come over here, Control V, and set the spacing. Oh, hello, we have somebody here. What am I doing today? You're not late. You're not late. I'm Natalia Kryukova. Unfortunately, I don't really speak much Russian. Um, okay. Where is my doc thing here? Boom. In North Africa, from Morocco over to eastern Algeria, I believe, they speak, some people speak languages in the Berber family. In Algeria, there's a subset of that called the Zenati Berber languages, one of which is called Shawiya. Apparently, they have two ways of writing their language. They can use Tifinagh symbols, which are on the right-hand column of each of those two columns there. They can use that, or they can use the Latin alphabet and write stuff that way. With the Zenati languages, the Eastern Berber languages, like Shenhua and Shawiya, and there's a few others that I don't know the names of, apparently that doesn't work very well. It's not satisfactory, and it's not part of their culture. So I make a lot of conscripts for constructed languages and things like that. As a matter of fact, I make more conscripts than I do conlangs. And I made one I called New Demotic, which is actually a misnomer. It should have been New Hieratic, if anything. But it was my attempt at creating a modern writing system that would have descended from Hieratic and Demotic Egyptian, late area ancient Egyptian. And I had fun doing it. Actually, I had a lot of fun doing it. It was quite neat. And somebody saw that who was a speaker of Shawiya and asked me whether or not I would try tackling creating a writing system for these Berber languages based, at least basically, bad pun or poor phrasing, on the original symbols. So the Numitico on the left-hand side there, those are the ancient symbols that they used to write Berber in Algeria or Libya or both or whichever, I don't know. So I thought, okay, fine, I'll take those. I'll try and come up with a system. Now, I don't speak these languages at all. So that's a bit of an obstacle. My intention is to try and reflect the phonology by creating a writing system, creating a font, firing it off to this person who is a native speaker and asking them what works and what doesn't work, and therefore to produce a writing system for these languages that could be used. It might never be used, but it could be used because it would actually reflect the languages. And honestly, then it's up to that individual as to whether or not they can promote it, because that sort of thing needs to be promoted from inside of a linguistic community. So that's what I'm doing. I'm taking inspiration from these shapes here and creating these shapes here so that I can create writing that looks like this. This would be Zenati written out. So The Berber languages are triconsonantal and biconsonantal cluster Semitic style languages, like many Afro-Semitic languages, Egyptian, uh, Arabic, Hebrew, um, and Berber. So they didn't originally write the vowels. So I've had to create vowel signs out of thin air, to be polite. So that's what I've done. I've created A, E, which is actually a schwa for them. I think, oh, I'll put spaces. E, I, O, and U. Oh, and the U is incorrect. Hey, pick something up all the time. It, because it is a vowel, here, I'll bring you back over here. It should extend down like that, which is more. Third one. There. That would make it more consistent. So I've just extended those two prongs down there so that when you type something, let's say SH, right? CHA, that's not correct. Okay, I gotta fix the thing. I gotta fix a thing here. Compile. No output errors. There. So that would be SH with the A attached to it. So the end result is going to look like a syllabary, but isn't quite a syllabary. It's an alphabet really, but I thought it would add to the clarity of the thing if I made it work like a syllabary. I might eventually end up auto-generating all the possible consonant plus vowel uh, setups. I think I'm going to avoid that. I am going to try and set this up properly using anchors and everything else like that. And I haven't done much of that. So that should be interesting too. But that's what I'm doing basically. Um, just checking something here. Live. Nope, that it's funny. I am live on YouTube and I can see that, but the software on the browser doesn't actually mention that. If I go here, okay, now see, if I go here, I can see that there's two people watching, but I don't think I see. Oh, maybe I can have the stats window open here just a second. Maybe that is part of the problem. Stats. Nope, that doesn't tell me anything. That just tells me if I'm losing frames, which is, useful information, but not what I'm looking for. I'm used to streaming on Twitch, but I'm streaming games there. Yeah, it does not give you the output here. It's kind of funny. Oh, there's three of you now. See, now I can see that, but I couldn't tell before. So basically my intention is to get all of these shapes defined properly and then start working on the scripting to get it to work right. Which will mean that when you go to use this font, you will need to have ligatures turned on in the software that you've got running. That's not hard. You can do it in Word. You can do it in OpenOffice. I think with Word you have to do it every time, but I'm not sure. And that is basically because I'm abusing the hell out of OpenType font scripting to do stuff. So before I noticed chat there, what I have over here is the classes. There, classes. And ignore this. I don't know why it does that. It's not like I have them all selected. If I did, I could understand it would do it. But this is the basic medial class. I'm going to try and do a medial, init, and final system, even though it won't really matter. I won't need all those glyphs. I will need initial, And I will need medial final. Okay. I will start by going back to my text editor, bringing that up, which means you need to be on this view here, and copying all of this. That is the list of glyphs that I cut and paste into the medial class. Now we are going to make init versions of this by simply making a new list. Usually easier to go from the end. This is going to end up with redundant glyphs. There will be glyphs I don't really need probably by the time I'm done this, but it's really the only way to get it to work right, I think. Sorry, this is a little dry here. If you have any questions, let me know. I will try and remember to look at chat. I've been spoiled by Twitch chat because I have a bot that watches my chat and does text to speech. So I hear stuff right away. But I don't have that luxury here because YouTube is powerful and all-reaching and everything, but not very evolved by comparison to Twitch. I understand they've added some tools and things like that, and I need to look into that if I'm going to do more of these streams. The actual reason I started streaming on Twitch was that I wanted to promote conlangs and conlanging, but I figured I'd learn how to do streaming by streaming a game, so I stream a game or several games sometimes. And that okay. So you're basically doing what Cyril and Methodius did just a few thousand years later, and not for Slavs, but for quite different people. Yeah, sure. Except that actually I don't. To my shame, I don't know Methodius. What Cyril did was take Greek and adapt it to produce Cyrillic, right? Broadly speaking, I'm sure there was more steps in there, but I'm not adapting. Well, I guess I'm adapting an old writing system. I guess I am, but I'm just kind of taking inspiration from the shapes. And I mean, I don't think this is going to result in the new Cyrillic, but who knows? Okay, so I take all of these here, copy them, come back over to classes, go in here, add a new OpenType class called initial, and then go over here, and paste in all of those things. And there should now be 37. So there's 2 that are missing. E-init and ng-init do not exist. And I'm not sure why. If I go back to here and compile, doesn't produce any output. So it has generated the extra glyphs in here for me, sticking them everywhere. And I will have to plug things into them. And mostly they're going to be the same. That's why I'm saying they're going to be redundant. But some of them are not. And really brute forcing it is the way I've found to be the most effective overall. Why is there no ng init showing? There should be. Fonts are kind of irritating, I gotta say. Okay, you look at all these symbols here, all the ones that are white, like capital G that I've got here, I don't have a glyph for that. So it puts a silhouette of the default Latin character for that because I'm mapping this to Microsoft Windows 1252 Western ANSI standard, because it's like the most broadly accepted keyboard standard there is. But there are all these ones down here that have various names, like the registered trademark symbol, or OE, or capital OE, or 0/00%. And somewhere in there is one called NG. And when I go to create my own glyph named NG, it will use that one, but it won't point it out. It doesn't highlight it in any way. So I have no idea where it is. So when I go to do that, I have to go and try and track it down, because somebody somewhere decided that there should be an NG glyph in there. And even if you don't add it to your font, it will assume that's what you meant. So it's going to be one of these unnamed ones here, probably. And I don't know how to tell where it is. So that's a future problem I've got to figure out. None of these have names, and therefore shouldn't exist, but do. So we have an inherent problem here in that the medial numbers. Oh no, stop that. If I go back over to class, Twitch is so much easier to get used to. I can do it without even thinking about it. Just hit the button and there we go. If you look here, you'll see that medial has 39 glyphs in it. Initial has 37 of 39. Those numbers need to match, or I can't do some scripting stuff here. So I'm going to have to figure those problems out. And it's the two ones here that have nothing that are part of the problem here. So I'm basically going to have to go plug values into these things, cut and paste stuff until I have everything working. So capital A is where I was storing an initial A. So we're going to go put A init in there, Control V, set the margin. And B init will be the same as B. So a whole lot of copy and pasting going on. And set the margin. If you're working in font software, just in case anybody doesn't know, this is the, oh, you're not on the right screen there. Yeah. This is the 0 line right here on the left. And on the right is this slider here for that vertical line, which should be showing. Those are the left and right side bearing lines, respectively. And what that means is that the glyph that is displayed when you hit the key that matches that glyph starts being drawn at the 0 and extends as far as the right side bearing, and the next glyph's 0 is going to be at that right side bearing. So what that means is if any part of your glyph goes negative below the 0, it will be displayed in the previous glyph. And if anything extends to the right of the right side bearing, it will be displayed in the next glyph. So you can deliberately cause overlaps if you wish, which is what I do when I'm doing things like this here. I did not mean to move that. So CH A. Now, when you go look at A, I have cheated a little bit here, and A overlaps past the 0 to -76, so that it is drawn overlapping the previous glyph. And the spacing that is here is the spacing that I'm putting after every glyph, so it's consistent. That's, I mean, the numbers are meaningless, but that's 50 units in the way this is measured. So that's why the two glyphs appear to be attached. Now, that is not the correct way to do it. The correct way to do it is to use a thing called an anchor. and you put an anchor on the glyph that you are going to anchor to, and then you put an anchor with a similar name, matching name on the glyph that is going to be anchored, and then they get joined together, and then you generate each syllable as a glyph and redirect. Yeah, it's more hassle than it's worth. This actually works, and I kind of like it, and it seems to be pretty consistent. So what I'm doing is producing initial versions of each of these things, and I should be color coding these so that I remember which ones I've done. Flag, cyan, sure. Cyanit, Control A, Control copy, and Control V. And oh, that was the thing I was going to say. Always remember to set the right margin, the right side bearing. If you do not do that, you can have a terrible time trying to track down why things are displaying incorrectly later on. Set the right side bearing. I have made fonts that had literally thousands of glyphs and had problems with the side bearings there and had to go through them individually to check each one in turn. Took hours. Okay, we are going to decompose and get rid of all that and replace it with very similar, with the dot this time. Now, not rename, cyan. What happens there where I decomposed like that is that I used the font software to generate these glyph names. It didn't populate them with anything in some cases. In some cases it did, and I'm not sure why. But if it populates them with a reference to the original, which is a good thing. Like that DH dot init there had a reference to D dot. Great, no problem. That means that if I made a change in the D dot, it would be changed in the reference in any of the other glyphs. But I don't want that because I want to be able to tailor these things individually. And I hate having half of one work of a font work one way and half work another. So I'm just going to ignore that. Control A, Control copy, DH, Control V, set the right side bearing. And what is that? That is E Arabic init. I don't want it to be that. I'm not creating Arabic, but this thing automatically, the moment you start doing inits and things like that, changes to use Arabic. And oh, right. Rename. It's put in a Unicode reference, which I don't want either. I want to just have a simple system that uses a private space and isn't doing anything strange. Oh, init. That is different. I have reversed these so that they join up with the following consonant in instances where they exist. Set the right sidebar. So here you can see I'm setting the right sidebar to be one square to the right of where I'm drawing my glyph, but it overlaps a little bit. So that bit there is going to be drawn in the next glyph. So what are we on here? E. If I go to preview and I type in E, N. Oh, it isn't doing it. Why? It isn't doing it because I haven't written the code yet. Okay, bad example. I got to write the code for that, which I'm really going to cheat and cut and paste from elsewhere. But that's okay. That and that can be cyan, F in it, F. I'll tell you, this I absolutely love making fonts. I love creating writing systems for languages that don't exist and different ways to express things and stuff like that. But it is a lot of cutting and pasting and iterative work. Um, Despite the awesomeness of the tools that exist, you can't really avoid that. So we can magenta or cyan those two. GH init. Where do we have GH here? GH right there. And I will admit, by not using references for all these things, I am opening myself up to a lot of extra work because if I change GH, I then have to manually go and change any other versions of it. And if it was all references, it would be easier. GW, not sure that's going to stand that way, but for now it will. Set the right side margin, side bar, margin, whatever you want to call it. H. I did start out with much simpler font software, and there is lots of it out there. H bar is where I put capital H, control A, control copy. This may not stay the same either, but it's not H like that. Glyph, decompose, boom, and the margin's fine. So that, and that can all be cyanized. I init. I am hoping to produce a video on your options for font software because you can do an awful lot of very, very creative, clever stuff with free or cheap font software. I have the Bugatti Veyron or whatever you want to call it of font software here. This is probably the best stuff currently in existence. Although I admit I haven't tried them all. But it is very, very capable, very high end. It is not cheap, unfortunately. But for me, it was well worth it because I spent so much time playing with writing systems and things like that. I'm actually thinking I might try creating a regular actual font just to try my hand at it at some point. Because I've never actually done that. And I'm getting a little bit better with the tools, but you would not believe how complex font software is. I am really stunned by just how much stuff there is to it, and what this software is capable of doing is also very impressive. L in it will be the same as L. And set that margin. Cyan M. Now I did a lot of I did all of the early work in coming up with a design here without streaming it. And M dot init. M init is there. M dot init is this. Control A, control copy. Uh, Basically, I did that because I wasn't sure that I was going to be able to come up with a system I liked. And I didn't want to start, I've done it before that I did this. I didn't want to start streaming something that I wasn't going to produce a full version of. So most of the initial stuff was done offline, so to speak. Flag, Cyan. See, I wish I could just hit like F F1 to have the first flag color or something like that. And I don't think I can shortcut or anything like that. N, Control A, Control copy. And I just noticed an error on N. Control V. And set the right sidebar to there. It's intentionally overlapping the next one like that. And cyanize it. And then go back up to N. And I don't know why this is here, but we're going to get rid of it. There. Save while I think about it. It is professional, and I just realized I was kind of answering your question. This is FontLab Studio 7, which is expensive. I'll be honest. I had an older version of software from the same company called Fontographer, and they had come out with FontLab Studio, and I looked at Fontographer and realized that there was an upgrade path to get an earlier version of FontLab. So I upgraded to an earlier version of FontLab, FontLab 5. And that was on the Mac. I had a Mac desktop then, and it works really well on the Mac. So that was cool. Then a while after that, just as I was getting used to 5, they came out with 6, and I looked at 6 and thought, it looks really powerful and everything else like that, but they've changed a lot of things, and I'm not sure I want to spend the money to upgrade to 6. So I won't worry about it. I'll wait till there's another version that really gets my attention. And then 7 came out, and 7 was really, really cool, but I didn't want to pay the upgrade cost because to upgrade from 5 to 7 was still not cheap. And then Apple announced that they were going to come out with the next version of their operating system, and it was going to be 64-bit. And if you had 32-bit programs, you needed to get a 64-bit version of them, or you were screwed. And that's kind of annoying to me that they did that, but fine, they do that. FontLab Studio said, oh, we're not upgrading version 5 to 64-bit from 32-bit. You will have to buy version 7. I did not want to do this, so I held off for a long time. And I liked 5. It had enough features, and it worked really well. It looked very similar to this, except it was simpler in its UI. This is much more complex, probably has 1,000 times more powerful features and everything else like that. Well, I know it does, but I was used to the old one. Then my hard drive on my Mac died, and it was going to be pretty expensive to replace it, and I was ordering a PC anyway. So I looked and realized that I could upgrade to version 7 from the Mac, and the version 7 license included both Mac and PC. So I could run it on the PC. So I knuckled under and paid the upgrade cost, and I got version 7. It's not for everybody. There are other programs out there that are cheaper. There's some that are open source that are free that can probably do the same things. But I spend a lot of time in this features file here doing things, and this has the cleanest editing for the features file that I've seen. So I really, really like this. If you want to take a look for, I wish I'd produced the video showing off the various font software. Wait for that. That'll come out. But if you want to take a look for cheaper options, there is FontForge, which is open source. It has a really strange UI. The person that created it decided they had to create a completely different UI system for it too. So it doesn't work like any other software on the Mac or the PC or Linux. It's completely unique. It's not got great documentation. However, it does have some documentation. You can find stuff on the web on how to use it, and it will do all this stuff, just not as conveniently. If you don't need to do the features stuff here, if you just want to produce alphabets, then there is a free tool for Windows called Type Lite. It's from Create Software, I think. That's CR8. Might be Create Labs. I can't remember, but Type Lite. It's free. You can use it. It'll do all your basic shapes. It has the same mechanism for drawing stuff using Bezier curves and stuff like that. I have a lot of tools. You're not on the right screen. There. I have a lot of tools over here on this toolbar that's trying to hide behind my window that probably aren't present in Type Lite, but Type Lite is free. It'll have the basic stuff, and you can do a lot of things like that. Then there is Type 3.2 from the same company, which is a paid version. I think it's $35 US, and it does support the features file and has more tools and things like that, and it's really good. I have a license for it somewhere. I used it for quite a while before I got into using FontLab. And then there's Glyphs, Glyphers. I think one called Font Create. I've started to work out the screens to make a video about the various options that people have, but I haven't used all of them. This is the pick your metaphor, the Cadillac, the Pagani Zonda, the BMW, whatever you want to call it, DB9. It is the top end software, FontLab 7, absolutely. But you got to be able to justify the cost too. Now, if you got the money, get this one. It's brilliant. It's really complex. Like if I just run myself through the menus here, you will see that there is an awful lot of stuff that you can do here that is available, and there are submenus on a lot of this stuff. And I won't say I don't find it irritating at times. I do. They've got this weird system where you can dock and undock screens, and that's useful, but there's no way to say, hey, dock everything. So right now, I have no idea how to get this window to dock with that stuff up there. I know it can be done. It's been there before, but I can't get it to do it. And I haven't gotten this one to dock with this. That one I might be able to figure out. If I select that and then go window, docking, merge to font window. No. So no idea. No idea how to do that. And I find it really irritating at times. But it is really good. Really good. I need to work out something to do text to speech on that chat because I keep missing things that people are saying. And I don't want to do that. I really don't. Okay. There's NG. Okay, it's labeled it as an Arabic thing, and I don't want that. And I can't stop it from doing it on its own. It does it automatically. And I'm sure there's a way to tell it not to do that, but I don't know what it is. And I don't care about the Unicode. Rename. Okay, so now it's still got Arabic in there. If I edit note, maybe? No, cancel. Edit glyphs. Nope. It's got the right name there, but it's putting the wrong symbol up. That's odd. Okay. That should be this. And set the right side bearing. I find the fact that pick a glyph, say this one here. Okay, this is a vector drawing, right? All these shapes are vector drawings. I find the fact that you can type a key on the keyboard and your computer can go and render the appropriate vector drawing for every single key that you hit on screen, lightning fast, to be just amazing. You can actually create your font in like Adobe Illustrator or Inkscape or something like that, and export it as an SVG file and import it in here, and then adjust it from there if you want, or you can just create it right in the font software. But it fascinates me that a page of text is literally thousands of tiny little vector drawings done like that. It's really, really impressive. Okay, so that's NG despite not being labeled properly. We need O in it. Set as a right margin. Also, I find it amazing just how much stuff I have managed to figure out without ever having taken a course on this, just over time. Not that I'm patting myself on the back or anything like that. I'm just saying I'm so glad that I've managed to figure out enough stuff to be able to create fonts if I want to, and therefore augment my Conlang stuff. For me, the fonts are really mostly for my own use, so I can use them in a design document. And to me, that builds legitimacy, perhaps, for the conlang that I'm working on in my own mind. And therefore, I like to come up with a writing system that reflects the language design that I have, because it makes me feel like I have a real language there, if that makes any sense. It's no more real because of it, or lacking it. Oh, decompose. Control A, delete. Control V. Right margin's good, and that one's good. S init. So it is my intention to make videos on not just live streams like this, but actual videos on the simple stuff that I'm doing here to explain it. Okay, so have you played with Inkscape and FontForge? Yeah, sure. I did play with FontForge, and I found it very frustrating, but quite capable. There's nothing you could want to do with a font that you can't do in FontForge. I know. But I like having a clean UI that I can follow a lot easier, and this is better than what I found in FontForge. And like I said, I quite liked Type Light and Type, well, it was 3.0 when I used it, but 3.2 now. They're quite capable too. They're very well written. They're written by a developer down in New Zealand, I think, who presumably is not making a lot of money off of it, because this is a very niche thing to do. Uh, but more power to him. I was happy to pay for those. Pay for that one anyway. Sorry, the first one was free. But FontForge was cool too. TH in it. TH right there. Being very dozy. Control A, Control copy. Control B. Set the margin. Then I'm going to go rip some code out of one of my other fonts, I think. So if you've played with FontForge, you've been developing your own fonts and writing systems and whatnot. You probably feel the same way I do about all this stuff. It's really niche, really obscure, and really cool. W. Now, the only annoying thing here is I don't know if I can just copy glyphs over or not. I'll have to look. But I'm going to have a pile of redundancies here that will be the same glyph by different names because I need to sort initial, medial, final. And I'll tell you, I have the code for initial, medial, final stuff like Arabic does, but it doesn't work very well. It does not work. Like if you go do the actual code that you are supposed to put in there according to Adobe and everybody else, it does not entirely work. Close, but not quite. So I end up having to monkey with it. In order to use it, I need to have initial, isolated, medial, and final. So we have two of those here, but not the rest. Flag, cyan. And now if I go back over to classes, where's classes? There it is, classes. And look, you'll see that we have 39 medial, 39 initial. So now what we want to do is go back to the text editor and copy that, put it here, and then do a search and replace. Find and replace. Where is it? Place. And replace dot init with dot isol. And it should be doing it from the cursor, so we should be able to just go here and go replace all. And that has done all of those. And then we are going to go down here and go Control V and go back up here and tell it to replace dot isol with dot final, dot fina, and replace all. No. Control Z. Control Z. It did them all. Control Z. Control Z. Control Z. There. I have my inits. I go here and do search, replace, isol dot init with dot isol. Start the cursor there. And we'll do it like that so we know which ones exactly are being affected. And we go back here and we copy the inits, put them down here, put the cursor there, and tell it to do dot fina. Missed one there for some reason. Ah, Duh. I started hitting find next instead of replace. Okay, so now we have the inits, the medials that I had at the start there, and there's some cleanup to be done on that. But now we can create the isals, which will be exactly the same as all the rest, and the finas, which will be exactly the same as all the rest until I start tailoring stuff. So here, font, generate glyph. No, I was doing it by the classes. That's right. Class. Over here. OpenType, which we are going to name init. No, we're going to name isol. Well, we're going to name it all the way out, isolated. And we're going to get rid of q init in there and then cut and paste all the isolateds in, and boom, there they are. They don't exist yet, but they'll be added to the font, presumably down the road here somewhere. Then we're going to they'll be added when I render this. Probably, yep. Create missing glyphs. Boom. There they are. They're going to be all wrong, but that's okay. And then we are going to add OpenType. Get rid of the name. Rename it. Rename it to final. Go back to the text editor. Too many things open here. Where is it? Text editor. Copy the finas. And get rid of that. Paste them in there. So now we should have a match on all of these, except these ones don't exist until I hit come over to here. No, come over here to features and hit this button here, which pops up a screen saying, hey, these don't exist. Create missing glyphs. Okay, now we go back to here and you see this huge schmozzle of glyphs, many of which are blank and all of which have different names and are all colored wrong. I saw that one this time. How many types have I created? I've not completed all of these, mind you, but I have made alphabets, syllabaries, a logo syllabary that had a few logographic symbols in it that were like determiners. I stopped working on it because it was driving me insane, but I have 3/4 of a system to write Egyptian hieroglyphic that uses Gardner's Egyptian grammar, which I happen to own a copy of, and a font that somebody produced and released for all of the glyphs that are in Gardner's Egyptian grammar. I think they're actually in Unicode too, but I was using this font as a source. And you can actually type commands on the keyboard that will stack glyphs and do stuff like that. But I didn't actually create the glyphs, right? I got them from another source. I started trying to work on a symbol or a system like Mayan, which would piece glyphs together based on what you typed in. And I got that kind of working, but the artwork was taking so long that I decided I was going to stop doing that. So I kind of proof of concept a system like that. I wasn't recreating Mayan completely. It was like that. And I've produced a few systems where I took existing writing and did things to them. let me see what we've got here. If I open up, where is it here? Design doc. This is just notes that I'm keeping on. I don't even know where it is on screen. There it is. These are just notes I'm keeping on the system I'm working on. I haven't actually generated a font from what I'm writing yet, but when I do, I will start plugging it into all of these columns on the right-hand side here. But since we're here, if I open up a new text document and go take a look and see what I've got installed here, I have one called tutorial. Oh, I better make it bigger. That I was using at one point to, oh, you're not seeing that. Oh, here, we'll go back to here. Now you can see it. This was one that this is nonsense text. I was going to build a tutorial on how to design a writing system, and this was the font that I created for that purpose, and then I never produced a tutorial, which is another thing I should do. Let's see what else we've got here. This is Ashwadi. This is my most evolved writing system. It started off being based on the shapes of Kufic Arabic, and is for the Ashwadi Conlang that I'm working on, which is bogged down, and I really have a restart on it. But that's what Ashwadi looks like. I'm quite happy with that one. That's probably one of the most evolved script I've ever produced. Then what else do we have in here? I don't have them all installed, mind you. But I have a fair number of them installed in here, I think. This is another one I produced. This is an outline font. I'll make that a little bit bigger so you can see it. 72 there. So this is a fancy version of one of the writing systems I produced called Jerbesh. I don't know if I have basic Jerbesh in here or not. Then there's, I don't even remember what this one is called. Oh, Evropiana, right. I tried to make another European sort of based writing system, so that's another one. I kind of like that, but it needs more work. Here's Gardner's Egyptian hieroglyphics. That's not with any of the fancy stuff attached to it, but you can do everything with it. I've got another video on that if you want to go take a look. It's very short. This, I don't know what this is. I don't know if that's mine or not. Yes, it is. So that's another design. I don't even know quite what I was building here or why. There you go. Scroll back down to the L's. I built too many of these, as you can see. And they're all sitting on my system. So this is new demotic. This is another one I'm really happy with. Again, nonsense text. I'm just cutting and pasting the same nonsense text. But new demotic is based on the shapes of demotic and hieratic ancient Egyptian. And it's a cheat. It looks like it's stacking characters here, but that there will be one glyph that has been pre-rendered. It is one symbol on top of another, but when you type in whatever it is, here, DE, here is D, here is DE. What happens here is there is an entry in the features script that says if somebody types in DE, display this glyph, and then there's a whole new glyph just for DE. M O. So there's another one for MO, TI, and C, or K if you prefer. That would be demotic. And it's got more stuff to it than that. You can actually wrap a cartouche around things by using the square brackets to start and end it. And then carry on typing after that. And I'm quite happy with that. I was really happy I could figure that out. Took a lot of work. Just leave some default stuff there and go take a look what else we have below that. Skipping one that doesn't matter there at all. This is Persian cuneiform. I produced a font for that because it actually is a pretty simple cuneiform font. So I don't remember if I made the artwork for this or if I found it, but I have a Persian cuneiform font as well. And what else below that? Anything? This is Karakitai. That's the vertical. We don't want the vertical. Karakitai is a font based on the Kitai writing system. Maybe I only have the vertical installed. Only have the vertical installed. For a while, the Mongols used a writing system adapted from northern China called Kitai. And there is, God, what is it? There's like the small Kitai and the large Kitai glyphs. And they haven't deciphered all of them, but they have deciphered a bunch of them. So I found a font that somebody had created that was, open source for that. And I wrote a set of feature files that would let you use it as a writing system, uh, filling in the missing combinations myself. So it's authentic to the level of translation that we had at the time that I created it, but anything that was missing, I picked one of the glyphs that was there already and decided that was going to be that one. And since we don't know what that one actually was, sure. So that was fun. A silly exercise, perhaps, but fun. This is the vertical version of it. I don't have the horizontal installed. If you're putting this in a word processor, you would create a text box, put this text in there, and then rotate it to be vertical, because I don't know of any word processors that will let you enter text vertically. So there's that. None of that really matters, but that shows off some of the things that I've produced. We don't need that up right now. So now I've got to go through and fill all these in. And I got to figure out what I never thought about. I got to figure out what I'm going to do with the ISO versions of things. Let us highlight all the ISOs and change their base color. To decrease some of the confusion. That's the final. With Arabic names stuck in there again. Luckily, it sticks them in pretty consistently in each spot. So it's not that hard to identify them. And then I can change the color codes. hopefully reduce some of the confusion. It unfortunately doesn't sort them by extension. And if there's a way to do that, I don't know what it is. And we're back to my font software got immeasurably more complex, and I haven't figured everything out yet. Okay, all of those are selected. Flag, blue. Oh, that was a mistake. Control Z. Nope. I think I just undid my finas. I did. Create missing glyphs. Okay, so the finers are back, but that did not work because this is supposed to be blue. That's what this is calling blue, apparently. Okay, at the risk of being really boring, I'm going to do all that again. And color code them. Blank. No color. You can define your own colors, and they're usually really, really pastel to the point where I couldn't see them. So I found out how to change them so that they were much brighter, and now I've kind of overdone it, I think. Okay, flag. None. There. Okay, so now they're at least different colors. Now, these are pretty simple. They're going to be the same. Control A, Control Copy. Again, a lot of this. Control A, Control Copy everywhere. So that is B. It's not going to change as a final, so I'll stick it there too. At least I don't think it is. C, Control A, Control Copy. Be the same as C fina. Wish when it Control copied the right sidebar too. Side bearing. But it does not. And there's probably a way to do that, but I don't know what it is. Oh, I just realized I have to check something here. Sorry, getting on my phone. I'm trying to sell a TV here, and I have somebody who is supposed to be coming to pick it up, but they haven't. Okay, I just wanted to make sure I hadn't missed it. D init, D fina, D isol, Control V. What I would like eventually to be able to do is produce a complete package. So like a language kit or whatever it is that Microsoft calls it, so that I could localize a conlang and install support for it like you would with any other language, right? Where you just go and select the language you're typing in off the bar on menu on the start bar, and switch keyboards and be able to type your language in. If you wanted to be so dense as to do this, you could set your OS up to use it as a default, stuff like that. Haven't gotten that far yet. Don't even know how you start on that, although I'd like to figure it out at some point. Now, of course, I don't have my conlang to the point where I could do that, so it would be foolish to do it now. What is that there? No, not that. I meant, is it rename? That's what I want to do. Where is rename? Rename. It is E-Fina, but it thinks it's Arabic. Rename. Hello, Shorin. What's my favorite? Oh, that's easy. That's Ashwadi. Back to here. No. And do a whole pile of scrolling up. This here. We'll make it bigger. This one here. Can you see that? Yes, you can. That is Ashwadi, which is I'm trying to build a Semitic style triconsonant conlang, like Arabic or Hebrew or Akkadian or ancient Egyptian, or in fact the Berber languages here, where the words are basically defined by a root of three consonants, and the meaning is defined by the vowel patterns between them, and you know, uh, prefix, suffixes, infixes, whatever. I wanted to produce a flowing sort of script that, yeah, I'm really supremely pleased with this. Okay. Um, just typing in some nonsense text here. This this was a real exercise in trying to figure out how to do all of these things so that it would display properly. But what it does is it clusters syllables. So, wrong thing. If I type in T A, it will attach the A to the T. If I type in an L, it will attach the L to the TA so that it's tal as one word, one syllable. But if I make it two syllables by putting an I on the end of it, it switches the L around and switches the TA back to just being those two, so that each syllable is joined together. That's the idea. And that took a lot of engineering and everything. And this particular script, I think, has gone through 114 iterations. It took a long time to get it the way I want it to be. And it was originally inspired by the shapes of Kufic Arabic, but I don't speak Arabic and I don't read Arabic. I just think that Arabic is one of the most beautiful writing systems we've ever come up with as humans. And I particularly like Kufic, which is very very stylized and a little more blocky than the modern what's it called, Nashtik, very flowy stuff that you get. So I took the shapes of Kufic Arabic and started pulling stuff from that, and then I realized it looked too much like Arabic. So I started trying to evolve it away from that. So you'll see things like this shape here and this stuff here. I actually had one iteration that was simply titled internally as "Add More Spiky Bits." Because people like that, and I like that, and it looks dramatic. And I changed stuff around quite a bit over time. The original version looks completely different than this, and looks much more Arabic-like. And this hopefully looks a little less Arabic-like. I don't want people who can read Arabic to look at this and get dyslexia trying to figure out what I'm saying. Also, it's written left to right, not right to left. But yeah, it's one of my favorites. I will actually bring it up in the font software file. Open Ashwadi 2.6. So this is Ashwadi with all of the syllables generated as their own glyphs. And there's the base. Oh, and yeah, right. I even produced one of these. If I go over to preview and type in %, you get one of these things, which is a thing that they do in Arabic. They have these abstract shapes because Islam says you shouldn't represent real things in artwork. They have a lot of abstract art, right? Very, very geometric art. It's beautiful. So I decided to try and make one of these like they do. So this is my imitation of it. This is a geometric shape that says Ashwadi. And it's built into the font right now. It's on the % sign because I don't need a % sign in my Conlang. If you go to the features file for this, you will see that it is fairly complex with a lot of entries, and a lot of the stuff is done at the bottom here. And this is actually stuff I'm going to rip off for the font I'm working on at some point here to sort medial, final, etc. Although I might pull it out of a different one. This one I've mangled it pretty heavily. So that's the one that I'm happiest with overall, really. Hello, Deborah Haas. How long have I been working on it? I would say this has been off and on because I produce a lot of different writing systems, and I play with this a lot, and it's not the only thing I do. I would say probably about 4 years, maybe a little longer, maybe a little less, something like that. A lot of iterations. This is version 2.6, but I have multiple iterations where I didn't update the actual version number, so it would sit on 2.4 and I would do 20 different revisions and it would be 2.4.1, 0.2, 0.3, 0.4, 0.5, etc. Or I'd forget to and just do iterations and save them all as the same one. And then I go, oh my God, I better save it as a new version. And I would do that. So I really have no idea how many different things I've done with it. But it's quite a bit. You should be on this screen. So that's the one I'm the happiest with. That's the one I put the most work into. Yeah. It's hard to stop playing with these things. Like my design document for Ashwadi, I can now write an example of a word or a morpheme or whatever in Ashwadi in my design document. And that makes me feel like the language I'm creating exists, even though I'm creating it. Nobody else is ever going to learn it, and nobody else is probably ever going to read the design document. It's for my own satisfaction, but I can generate the writing there and then put IPA beside it and my comments on it and everything else, and document the languages that I'm working on and have a script to do it with. And that is very satisfying to me. That's all I can say. So this is the one I'm the happiest with, but I have, I'm just checking stuff here because, excuse me, because I am not that. Trying to make sure. No, that doesn't work. Nope, can't do that. Okay, there, that tells me. That's why I'm doing all this here, though, is to try and give me a writing system that I can use for the Conlang that I'm building. But I will admit that I have gotten sidetracked by building the writing system and not the Conlang. Because I've been working on the Conlang for a while there too. And I had a hard drive crash and lost everything and had to start all over again, which is my own fault for not backing up. But you can say that about your reason for making scripts. Yeah. Yeah. It's that I want to be able to make it feel like it's a real thing. And the best way to do that in a design document is to be able to write it out. And I've spent a lot of time trying to figure out how to produce writing systems that look somewhat believable to me. Now, the ones that I showed off earlier there are the ones that I am before this are the ones that I'm less happy with. And I think I get better every time I work my way through stuff. So if I minimize Ashwadi there and come back to Zenati, this here is very blocky and very heavy. But I wanted to have something that had simple shapes, again, based off of these shapes as much as possible. There are other sources I have as well, but this is one that I decided to put up so I could show people. These are the Numidico stuff. There is the ancient Berber script that they used. But it doesn't reflect the modern Berber languages, and it does not have vowels, and it never was evolved. So I'm trying to take some of the shapes, not all of the shapes, but some of the shapes for this one from the ancient shapes that were used, and then produce a very simple version of the writing system that doesn't stylize stuff too much. It does do some of that, sure, but I don't want to do it too much so that I can try and make sure it's easy to read. And then if I find a system that I like all the glyphs for, then I can start stylizing stuff and making it unique, and it won't be a problem. Do you ever try to make anything like the Tibetan script? I did produce what did I call it? I did produce something sort of like Fagspa, to be written vertically, because I really like, there's a style of Fagspa that is very similar to this actually, except it's written vertically, that is very thin, solid lines, and looks really cool, to be honest. When you go to produce a font for a vertical script, you have to design it flat, like it was written left to right. And then when you go to use it in your word processing software, create a text box, put the text in it, and rotate the text so that it shows vertically. I don't know of any Western software that will do vertical text, unfortunately. There are different Tibetan writing systems. So I mean a specific version of the Fagspa that was, and I'm probably saying that wrong. It's probably actually Pagspa. That is written vertically that I really liked. I also tried one like the Mongolian vertical writing too. Never finished that. I've got some notes on it and some graphics and stuff like that. and I really want to produce that. But again, you have to produce it flat and then rotate it when you go to use it, and I kind of find that kind of irritating too. But I like vertical scripts a lot. So yeah, I did try doing that, and I just don't have it installed here. Do have my... I do not. I am being remiss here. Just a second. Let me bring up a browser. And I don't have a button for this on my... where's my... Here. Close that. That's where you'll find me. ThatFontGuy. I do have a link somewhere here, but I don't know where it is. This shows off writing in Ashwadi, and there's some other videos and things up there as well. And there is one on... A lot of my gaming stuff is mixed in here, which I should probably clear out. There is one here called Writing Cleopatra in My Gardener's Egyptian Font that shows you how the Egyptian font works. And I had a lot of fun with that one, but I kind of burnt out on it. I was going to have to... I was reaching the point where I was going to have to cut and paste 4,800 glyphs, I think. And my brain just said, no, I can't do that. I got to work on something else. No, what I was going to do here was look up. Here. We'll bring up that address and stick it in chat. Where is the chat part for me? Okay, that's just a little weird. Oh, weird. Okay, so the chat that is here from OBS is useless for me. I need to go to my stream, I guess, and go in here. Oh, that's really weird. I'm still used to Twitch, not used to anything else. This is that going to show up there? I don't think that posted, did it? Oh, there it did. Okay, that is my Patreon page. If you go there, you don't have to sponsor me for a $1.50 per month. But if you do, then actually, even if you don't, if you go there, you can go and download some of the stuff that I have done. If you there's an example of a vertical script that I sketched out but haven't built yet. There's stuff there that includes free fonts you can play with if you want. And of course, if you like what I'm doing and you want to, sponsor me for $1.50, I'd appreciate that. But I was mostly putting that up there so that I could show you the links. If you go there, you can access rename. You can access the stuff that has been made available for free. eISL rename there. Okay. So this would be DH ISIL rename. No, it's eFina. Sorry. Why is that? eFina rename does not have a Unicode link. Why is it not showing the name? Bizarre. Okay, save. I have to figure out some of these vowels for stuff I have not done yet. eFina will be E. Control A, Control copy. Back down to eFina. And set the right margin. And I don't know what I'm doing with the ISIL versions of the vowels. These aren't changing, so that's fine. I could rotate them, I suppose, but I don't think I need to yet. We're not at that step. Oh, and the ISIL will be the same. So there is some established code for sorting initial, medial, and final forms. And I'm going to go dig that up and apply it in here. And then because I know that the official version does not work right, I will then have to adjust stuff here or there to make it work. So I am building more glyphs than I will actually need in the end, just because of that. I don't know if that makes any sense quite, like from the explanation, but GH fina. But I know that some of the glyphs are going to look identical, but inside of the code, it's going to be displaying one of the versions. So they'll all look the same, but it'll actually be showing different named glyphs based on the situation inside of a word. And I can go and track down problems with that when I encounter them by finding out which one is being displayed. Don't know if that makes sense. Actually, I might be making a mistake here when I think about it. Maybe I could be doing my classes differently. I need to think about that. Okay, when I go to classes over here, we have medial. These are all the glyphs that are in the base. One of them's colored wrong. TH is colored wrong. TH there. That should be pink. Flag. Magenta, which is not pink, but that's what it thinks magenta is. Then initially, these are all the initials. Isolated, these would be all the isolated. Final, these would be all the final. The only ones that are actually going to change at the moment are the vowels. So I could probably use the same glyphs organized in different classes and not need to reproduce things. So I need to go find that initial code. Wonder if I can open font folder. No. I'm going to try and open a very old version of my Ashwadi. If I can find it. Documents. Conlangs. Ashwadi. 2.1. Not there. Why? 2.1 backup. Well, that's a folder. It's not there. So all of these are empty. This is not good. Okay, off to my storage drive. Documents. Conlangs. 2.0 backup. Not there. Oh. What's it looking for? Lock folder. Does it show me anything? It does. Okay. Now if I go to features, it's a completely different set of features. And it is, oh no, it's useless. This is a rebuild built, let me close that, built from a restored font where I had to rewrite stuff. That won't do. Open. You're not seeing any of this anyway. I'm on the wrong screen. Does vector graphics overlapping cause problems with the font? No, your font will happily display things on top of other things. I will keep doing what I'm doing here, but I will digress to the preview screen here. And let's say I type in B A, oh, we need to be on this one. BATH. Nope, hit the wrong screen. THI. Now, if I go into the A glyph and just, I'll show you on here. If I go here and select the A glyph and drag it that way, then when you look on preview, you'll see it's narrower here because this line right here is the 0 point vertically meeting with the 0 point horizontally. Everything drawn to the left of that 0 is drawn in the space for the previous glyph. If I take this and move it way over like this, and we go back to preview, you'll see that there's now a gap in between here, and this has overlapped on the start of the next glyph. So I can just move it back to where it was, and it would be back where it was. So no, it does not, the overlapping does not cause a problem. It shouldn't. Now, there is a proviso to that I should mention too. So here is a square with a line in the center of it. It looks like a solid shape. But what it really is a vector drawing of a line outside that is going clockwise. And it's probably not visible on screen here, but there's a little arrow there that shows that direction. That outside line is being drawn clockwise. This inside line here is being drawn counterclockwise. And the one inside here is being drawn clockwise. If I take this line here and I reverse its direction, its contour, it will look like a solid shape, and you won't see this bit in here. If I take that and I reverse the direction again, dry throat, talking too much, it'll draw it properly. So what it is these lines have directions to them, and when you have a line inside of another line, it needs to be reversed for it to display properly. Now, if I draw another glyph over top of this one and its line is drawn the other way, it might come up with a weird distortion where it would look like there was negative space in the overlap. It shouldn't. It should only happen inside of the individual glyph, but that's about it. No, you can extend either way. That's how I'm cheating here with this stuff. The A shape there, this bar here, is attached to the B because I have the A overlapping the space for the previous glyph. So when I go to type this in, it draws the B, it draws the A, it says, oh, it's overlapping, and it overlaps it, and it looks at it like a solid shape. And the same thing with the I at the end here. I'm attaching them that way. The other way I could do it would be to say, oh, well, BA is a possible syllable. I will create a glyph called B underscore A and have both symbols in there. And when you type in B followed by an A, the feature script will go, oh, you really want the BA, B underscore A glyph, and it'll show that instead, which will look the same as it does right here. That is probably the proper way to do things, but it's a lot more work. And when you go to make a change, it's a lot more irritating. And I'm going to try to avoid that if I can. I may get there, but I iterate these writing systems because I don't want to do things. I don't want to do things that are going to cause me a ton of work down the road until I know that I'm committing in a direction I like. I might decide to change this glyph, and if I've already created glyphs for B underscore A and B underscore E and B underscore I, etc., and for that matter, A underscore B, E underscore B, and all that, then I have to go change all those as well. And I have to keep track of all that. And this isn't too bad, but I'm going to try and see if I can chop out all of the bits that are unnecessary in here. And maybe I can leave it with just this and a few handful of glyphs, these pink ones down here, and that's it. And that's what I was thinking about just before there, is that I'm going to change those classes and see if that works. I need the class code. Let me bring up a browser and see if I can find that. I don't know about you. I am a terrible person for having too many tabs open. I now have two browsers that I'm using, Firefox and Opera, and both of them have tabs open. And I never have the tabs that I want, which is what is hilarious. No. And annoying. The annoying thing is I had a ton of stuff bookmarked and spent a lot of time organizing my bookmarks, and then they seem to sort of take it away. I don't know where. No, that's not what I wanted. I'll see if I can just find it. WOTF. Initial, medial, final. Previous script I've done somewhere. I just need the base code. Type drawers. Nope, that's not it. Great website, but not the one I'm looking at. Maybe the first one. Nope, that's not it. And I had a great site that gave me this stuff. And I don't know what's happened to the bookmark, which is what's annoying. No. And I had it in the old versions of my font, but okay, maybe this will give me that code. Keep copious notes. In your own text documents. I have had to redo stuff so many times because I had it bookmarked in a browser somewhere for being on a web page, and then the web page disappeared. Simon Cozens. Looks like a very good informative guy, too. Very good. Actually, I'm going to have to reread this page down the road. Doesn't have what I want, but it's close. Okay. Okay. Okay, so I posted to Reddit and they immediately dropped me out of our Conlangs because you can't post about a writing system in our Conlangs. I should have posted it in Neography, but I know that our Neography, if our Neography has 20 people reading it, Conlangs has 150 or 200. But the mods are a bit picky, and I guess I should have read closer. Now, I was trying to look that up again. Initial, medial, final. Keep getting the same page. I'll try that one. I'll bet, though, that I am not going to find it, and I'm going to have to go and hack one of my previous scripts where I included it when I didn't necessarily need it. Maybe that's what I should do. File. Recent fonts. Don't know if I included it in there. Take a look in that. This never got anywhere, but what I'm looking for is the features. Yes, there we go. Isolated initial final. I think that's what I'm looking for. We will close that. Go back to here. What screen are you even on? You're on that one. Okay, we're going to go into features and go over here. And it's all commented out, of course, because I wasn't actually using it. See what sort of fit this has. So what this is supposed to do, oh, I need another one, all letters. What this is supposed to, you can't even see that. How are we going to do that? Right side monitor, edit. Shrink that down. Scroll it up higher. Move it to here. Resize. So you can see it all. So it's this bit of script in here is supposed to determine when you hit a key if it is the start of a word, in the middle of a word, or the final character in a word. And this syntax is supposed to do that. I found it in multiple locations, identically the same. I found it on Adobe's website, I believe, and they defined the whole writing system, the whole scripting system, and it does not work that way. I always end up monkeying with it. And maybe I'm doing something wrong, but I don't think so. So we have medial, isolated, initial, and final. Those are the names of the classes. So we come back over here to classes and we have Initial, isolated, medial, and final. Spelt out the same way, capitalized. The only thing is I need all letters as well. So, OpenType. And we do not have P in there. We are ignoring that. And we are naming it all letters. And it's empty. But what I'm going to do now is go back over here and bring up my text editor. And I'm going to see if I can get away with not having to have special versions of each of these. So what I'm going to do is highlight that and go over here to classes again. I know this is getting very technical. And initial, I'm going to take all of those glyphs out, delete. And this is going to consist of the same glyphs as the ones that are in medial. So the numbers will match. And isolated, I'm going to take all of those glyphs out, and they're going to be the same. Boom. And final, take all those forms out. I've never tried this before, and those will be the same. And then all letters will consist of the same. Now, that should mean that there is 39 in each of these, which means the script will not have fits. The only thing that is going to change is that in initial, the vowels are going to be different. So A dot init, E dot init, I dot init, O dot init. Now there are semi-vowels that might cause problems down the road. I don't know until I find out more about the way the language works. Okay, so that should mean that everything is the same except that these ones, these ones, there are init versions of the vowels that are different. Everything else should be the same. So when I come over here to features and we see what errors we can produce, we produce no errors. So now I should be able to go to preview and test some of this and see. If I type in B, it just shows B. It does not detect that as initial or isolated yet, and it should, but it doesn't. BA, nothing. BAN, nothing. Not doing anything. Let's try recompiling that. Save. So why is it not doing that? It should be going through and applying these. Ah, okay. It is, I don't know if you can really see this down here. This is the important stuff, and it's tiny. But this is what I'm typing in. This is what is displayed. This bottom line here is the names of the glyphs. So if I type in B, it's giving me the name of the glyph, which happens to be the same in all of these. So it's not telling me anything. But if I type in an initial vowel like an E, it says E init, and then I type in an L, it displays L. So it is doing the sorting for the init there, but because the glyphs in the classes are all the same, you don't see any difference. So I hope that makes some sense. I'm glad to know that I can do that because I've never done it before. Now I can delete just a whack load of crap down here. All these isolated and initial versions, don't need them. because I'm using the originals in each position. That does mean that, no, not the pinks. Sorry. Anything that isn't pink can go, but the pinks stay. Delete. Should be anyway. We'll find out once I've done deleting. I'm just going to delete a pile of crap and then we'll run the script. I wish it did not scroll back to the top each time. Delete. Okay. Delete. Okay, so I did a lot of redundant work there that I didn't need to do. I was out clevering myself, which I do a fair amount, to be honest. All the way over to there. I should be left with just the pink glyphs at the bottom here when I'm done. Got to make sure I don't accidentally delete those too. So the classes are a way of sorting your glyphs into groups that are quite powerful when you apply them with the right rules. And I have to admit, I've never sat down to work out the logic of what that statement that set of statements that I added does in detail. And I probably should have, but I haven't. Delete. Okay. No, not that. Control. Delete those. Boom. Okay. So we still have that one, which we don't need. Delete. And then we have all of these here. And the ones that are white, I'm not going to be using. I can actually wipe those out. But I have to reset. I have to delete everything in them and reset the margin to here. Is that the best way to do it? Save. Let's increment the version. The toolbar has gone over top for some reason. Files, save font as. We will make this. I'm rapidly climbing my numbers here. 2.1. Save. And I'm going to leave that. And I'm going to leave that. And I'm going to delete these down to there. Delete. Okay. Now, we are going to come over to the features file. And at the top, we are going to put a substatement in that says sub, open square bracket, capital A dash capital Z by lowercase a dash z, like that. And what that should do is it should mean that if you type in a capital letter, it will display the lowercase letter. Now, when I go to compile this, it is going to have a fit because the capital letters don't exist. And some glyphs referenced don't exist in the current font. That is not true. Just a second. Oh, maybe I out clevered myself again here, and I have to produce some. Okay, don't. I just noticed back over here. I have deleted some stuff I didn't mean to delete. It's really easy to recreate, but I didn't mean to delete it. So we go back over to the features file. We hit compile. It says, oh my God, all these things are missing. Create missing glyphs. It creates all these up here. It doesn't matter that there's nothing in them because the very first thing that substatement does, right? Oh, you're not seeing the screen. The very first thing the substatement does says if you type in a capital A, show the lowercase a. Then down here, I need a init and all the others. They don't exist because I just wiped them out like an idiot. Control A, control copy. However, it's just a few of them. It's not difficult. A init. Boom. Contour. No, tools, transform, flip horizontal. And then we move that to there, like that. And we adjust the bar here to be there. And we have an initial A, and we do it 5 more times. For E, control A, control copy, back down to E. For E init, where is E init? That is probably it right there. It is. Rename. It's gone and stuck a Unicode value in there because it has. New name e.init. Rename. Put that in there already for me. Contour. No, tools, transform, flip horizontal. Move it over so it lines up. And the right margin is set already. Ah. Delete. Yes. Rename this one to init. I missed the T. Rename there. So it exists. Oh, but it's gone and put the fricking Unicode in there again. It is not Arabic. I'm making a different writing system. So Control A, Control Copy, down to I, Control V, Contour, Tools, used to be under Contours, Transform, flip horizontal, move it over, drag this over to here, do O and U, Control A, Control Copy, O, Control V, Tools, Transform, flip horizontal, drag it over so it's lined up there, set the right side bearing, and U, which is usually at that spot in the alphabet. Control A, Control Copy, back over here, down to U init, Control V, Tools, Transform, flip, Tools, Transform, flip horizontal. Oh, there is a shortcut for that I should be using. And drag the right sidebar. And save. And go back over to the features file and pilot. Some glyphs reference don't exist in the current font. E? Oh. Close that. Back over here. Somehow it has pulled E out of the original font, which is really odd. Don't know how that happened. Control V and rotate it back. And drag it over so that it lines up in the right spot and set the margin in the right spot and go back to here. And now we have the letter E, which we can turn to their version of magenta. and save. Back over here. Oh, I didn't show you. Okay, that has no output errors. Now, I'm not following my screen as I go and do things. Now I should be able to go E, A, E. Why is it not EN? Why is it not seeing that as an init? If I go into classes, einit. Too many things happening at once. Okay, einit. That is there. That is there. This is called einit. Compiles okay. If I go to features, not features, preview, and try it with the other vowels, O, N, I, T, U, N, I, T, that all works. That works. That does not. So I need to check the initial version, init. Numbers are the same. Medial should not be einit because it took out E for some god unknown reason. It has renamed einit everywhere, I think. Einit initial is fine. Einit isolated should be E as well. You're on the wrong screen. Classes. One of the things that's buggered up about this software, in my opinion, is the fact that it does do everything in separate windows. Final has einit as well. So what it did basically is, for some unknown reason, I don't remember hitting the command, but for some other reason, it deleted E. So it substituted einit for everything, everywhere, when it should be E. And this should get it working. So medial should be E. Isolated is E. Final is E. And all letters is E. But initial is einit. So we save. We come back over to the preview window. We compile. And now it works there. So if I type a vowel initially, A. Actually, what happens when I do two? A, E. They don't quite line up. There isn't a diphthong for okay, so if you come back over here, the reason those didn't line up is because this glyph here isn't quite lined up on the grid. There. This is actually redundant. We only need one of them. So we can reconnect. No. Reconnect that to there. And boom, it becomes a solid shape again. But it needs to be moved slightly to line up better. There. Okay, so now if I go back over to preview, and just out of curiosity, what happens when I type in AE? It does join up, but it doesn't quite line up right. Some more monkeying needs to be done in there. However, I don't think that happens in Berber, so that's okay. AYN will display. ELL will display. IS will display. OM will display. UR will display. Okay, so those are all working there. So the only place that things are changing here is that initial vowels are attached to the consonant that appeared after them. And I've done that by simply reversing them. Everything else is basically staying static. I don't think there's anything changing at this point here. But if I need to make a special version of final V, for instance, I can do that by creating v.fina, which would appear down here, and then going to the classes, and in the final class, changing v to v.fina. And then when you type something in and V is the last letter in a word, it would display the fina version of it. So I can have a full initial, medial, and final system running here if I want. But in this particular case, I don't really need it. I hope that makes sense. I am trying to do too many things at once here. And one of them is I'm selling a TV. So I'm expecting this guy to interrupt me midstream at some point and come buy an old TV. Actually, it's not that old. It's actually quite a nice little TV, but it's our second TV and we don't need it. So what else needs to be done here? Okay. Typing in Imazaren. That is, I think, a word in Berber, or it is a name of one of the dialects. I can't remember. The guy that I'm chatting with in Reddit chat to get more information, he gave to me that as an example. Now I have set all of these glyphs to have the same exact spacing so that it is lined up properly. And for the most part, that works. I might need to look at, let's pick something with curves in it. We're all pretty square. Let's try G-O. Okay. That's not too bad. Because I have parallels there, so the spacing appears to be the same. Do we have any that are actually really open? G-O. No, not that. F. Even that's not too bad. Normally, the next stage I would look at would be kerning. And what happens is when you have, let's try U, W. Okay. Even those aren't too bad because I've got lots of parallel space between them. When you have curved shapes against vertical shapes in a font, because the visual weight of the curve is less than it would be with two parallel vertical glyphs, you often end up adjusting the spacing for any of those curved glyphs to be just a little closer and a little higher. Like, I gotta take out that W and put in, say, K. No, T. The top of that curve is equal to the top of that horizontal line for the K. But visually, it can look like this area here is actually a little lower. So what's common is you take curved shapes and make them just a slight bit, like 5% taller than the ones nearby, to give them the same sort of visual weight. And if there's a lot of white space between a curve, like if this was an actual O or a circle or something like that, if there's a lot of weight between that and the next thing, then excuse me, then you have to kern it to be just a little closer. so that it'll look balanced. But I think that this is rigid enough in its spacing that I don't need to worry about kerning for the moment. Another glyph I could try there too. If we put in T and this glyph, even that's not too bad. The big gap in the middle here is okay, I think, because there is the same measured 1 unit gap at the top and bottom there that I've used everywhere through this stuff. These glyphs are all basically 3 blocks of the grid, 3 blocks of this grid wide for the lines, and I try and balance it across here to be about the same and across here to be about the same, and then 1 for the spaces. And I'm trying to ensure that first off, every glyph that's a consonant has something drawn from this point here to this point here so that I can overlap my vowels on there, and that they have a similar thickness and weight to them so that it looks more consistent. So when you go to draw shapes like let's say U, which is this shape here, oh, it's found U and knit there. I have an error. There's nothing after that, but it's putting in a knit there instead of a final. I'll have to figure that out. You want to make sure that the width across here is the same as the width at an angle and everything else so that it's got a consistent weight to it, unless you're deliberately thinning things. I could have drawn these a bit more stylized, bring you back over here, by taking the U shape and extending it up like that. And then when we went back over here, and I'll try typing something in and hopefully it displays it. It did not. It has used, oh, there. So I could use a narrower thing like that and it would be a different font, basically. That's all. But that's the sort of style stuff that I've been trying to avoid doing. I want to make it as consistent as possible for the first version before I start doing anything stylistic like that, because I want to make sure it's readable in a basic sort of simple block script. And I hope I'm achieving that. Now, there will inevitably be an awful lot of refinements put in here and changes and things like that. Like the language needs a special form for typing in KW and GW. So I have KWA, say, and GWA. So in the script here, anything that has this hook at the bottom, this shape here, whether it's joined in or not, is voiced. So when we go over here, we have K, which is this shape here, and G, which is this shape here with that hook on the bottom, as being the voiced version of that consonant. That means I have less symbols for somebody to learn. They just have to learn that that means it's voiced, and you'll get used to that and forget about it entirely. I borrowed the same thing and reversed it and put it over top, and I may change that to represent these 2 instances where you have KW and GW, because those exist in Berber. So I might change the symbol, I might not. Similarly, over here, if you go down below here and look at the glyphs that are here, like D dot, there is a dot over top. And that is because in the Latin version of these Berber languages, when you the romanization using the Latin alphabet, you put a dot in, well, they use, how I'm going to put this. It's if you have a T, one of the things that you can type in is T with a dot underneath it. And they use that to indicate that it is T with a pharyngeal consonant after that. And I can't produce that. So I don't know exactly how it sounds, but I know that that's a distinction that needs to be made. So I've done the same thing. When you go to type this in here, TA, but T dot A. Ooh, we have a problem. Why do we have a problem? This is the sort of stuff that I have to figure out, isn't it? Because the scripting here is incorrect. That's why. Forgive me. I got to go back over here and look up this do these substitutions in here. I was using the uppercase letters, and I don't have those anymore because I was producing lowercase versions. So sub D period by D underscore dot semicolon sub H period by H underscore dot sub M period by M underscore dot sub R period by R underscore dot sub S period. You can't type in an actual period or other exclamation mark or anything like that. You have to spell out the name of it in these statements. Same as numbers. You can't use the number symbols. You have to use ONE, TWO, etc. I think that is because I could use numbers in the names of glyphs. Sub T period by T underscore dot and sub Z period by Z underscore dot. And we can take out all of the stuff below there because it is no longer true. Those capitals do not exist. No, not what I meant to do. I meant to do this. There. Now, when we run this, it does not find H dot. Because it is not. It is H bar. H bar. I'm using the same glyph for it, but it may end up changing. It's actually not it's not being consistent on my part. Okay, that should now compile. So we can save. We can go back to here. And now you see if I type in TA, we get TA. If I type in T.A, it is now going into the features file and it's saying, oh, we have a T followed by a period. We should replace that with T dot, and it will go in here and find T dot right here and display that instead. And that's the way that works. That's the core of this scripting stuff here. Now, I did have a problem with you, didn't I? Maybe that's fixed. I have a different problem. Okay, I'll bring you back over here. So if we have a consonant such as S, no problem. If I have a vowel that starts that, AS, then because I've reversed the I'll make that ASA like that. Because I've reversed the A at the start and put in the init medial final isolated code, it will attach the A. This is fine. But when that second character is, say, a V, F, F, it has that little bit that sticks out there and it is not connected. And so I either need to decide if I want to change the A glyph so it doesn't have that bit that sticks out, leave it because it's okay, or attach it in a different way. And I don't think I want to attach it in a different way. I think I want to have the attachments be consistent and in the center and on the right-hand side. So I think the answer here is to actually change the initial vowels so that, how are we going to do this? A, E, I, O, U. It is not seeing, I'll have to make them after a consonant. A, N, E, N, I, N, O, N, U, N. I kind of liked having those attached, but they don't always attach. So either I produce special rules and special versions of those initial vowels that are triggered when they're in front of consonants they can attach to and not when they're in front of others. So I will just use the E, E, T. Doesn't attach. Might be better to get rid of this little bit here by having a different version of E in it. This just for this case. E, M. It does attach. I kind of like that. It's probably me harking back to my cluster stuff that I did in Ashwadi, but it works. So I might have to produce contextual alternatives for the initial vowels and then determine which glyphs they are going to work with. And I can do that by making, well, we're using E here. Back here. Oh, actually, TV guy, got to check him too. Headed downtown now. That's all he tells me. Okay. And while I'm here, no. Come on. Where is that? That's not what I was doing. Let's bring this up. Okay. There's 3 of you out there. Hello. Oh, and I think at least one person hit subscribe. So thank you for that. That could be a coincidence. We're going to produce generate glyphs a.alt.init e.alt.init. I think I can do this. Maybe I should do them underscore. a_alt.init e_alt.init i_alt.init, and you guessed it, u_alt.init, and sorry, O and u_alt.init, and we include those. Figure out where I put them. There they are. So I will color code those differently so that I can find them again easily by marking them as green. So for these versions, they all need to be reversed and they all need to be decomposed. Okay, glyph, decompose, save, sorry, Control Alt, transform, rotate 90 degree, no, Control Z, Control A, rotate horizontally. There. Move to the right spot, which is right there. Get rid of this. And simplify the whole thing. like that. Get rid of one of these, and the line, and the line, and drag that. Oh no, that's not doing it. Get rid of that. Take that and join it up to there. And then scroll that up to the actual line. So now we have an initial version of A that does not have the little tag off to the right. And I want to do the same thing here with these. Control A, Control copy. Come back over. It has copied the originals, not the ones with a similar name, which is fine. Get rid of that. Put that in there. Take out those. Take out one of those lines. I mean, it doesn't really matter, but it's that much less rendering for something to do somewhere. Oh, and check the margin. It's good. Okay. Check the margin. It's good. Okay. Copy. Decompose. I could just rotate it, but then I have to move it too. So why not just cut and paste it? Rid of all this hoopla. Drag that up to there. Margin's good. Oh. Not entirely sure I'm happy with this glyph. It's a little heavier than the rest. Decompose. So that I can select and delete. Margin's good. Get rid of those. Get rid of that. Drag this up to there. And yep, it's properly reversed for direction. That's good. And unit. Contour. I think my TV guy is here. So just a sec here. Glyph. Decompose. Select all. Delete. Yep. Delete. Select all. Delete. Control V. There. Get rid of those. Get rid of that. And drag that up to there. Yep. I know. Okay, and I am going to go AFK for a second here because I've got to go sell a TV. That simple. I'll be back in a moment. I'm going to take a viral break too. So please stick around if you've got any questions. I'd be happy to answer them. I'll be back in a bit. Okay, if there's anybody still out there. One TV sold. Okay, right. What was I doing here? I'm not doing it here. It doesn't do it there. I'm doing it here. I am checking this and seeing that there are two people out there. Unfortunately, I don't think I have a tool. No, I don't. I don't have a tool for any of this stuff here. And I am so used to Twitch, it is ridiculous. Twitch, I have a little counter that tells me how many people are online and everything else like that. And yeah, I need to look into more evolved tools for it. Okay, so what we have here now is the alternate consonants, but we don't have the code for it. So we're going to try that now. We're going to go to the features file and basically we're going to have to, how are we going to do this? We're going to sort these, save. We're going to sort these into the consonants that need to have, that can be joined and the ones that can't, right? So if I go up here and I bring up my text editor again, and we've gotten rid of all those things, so we don't need them anymore. Boom, gone. We now have exceptions. I'm going to make a list of exceptions. So actually, no, I'm going to make first off copy of all those, which will be consonants, and then take out the vowels. Provided I can master the simple text editor without accidentally deleting crap. I'll blame it on lack of coffee. I've got the kettle on right now. There. So that is all the consonants. Then, of course, we need the vowels. These are going to be new classes. Like I said, I don't think it has any diphthongs. It doesn't actually have A, E, I, O, U either. It has A, E, O, U, I think. So they have the schwa, which the Latinization used the E for, so that's what I'm assuming we're going to do here. So then we need a list of the consonants. Let's call it special. And the special consonants are going to be D, F, G, K, excuse me, T, V, X, I think. And then we scroll down here and look at the ones in the bottom there and see, thank you, that we need to add in D underscore dot, GH, GW, H, no H bar is okay, KW, T underscore dot, and that should be it. So a vowel that appears before any of those consonants, because they all have a gap where the joiner would normally join the vowel on. We don't want to do that. We want to display the alternatives instead. So I'm going to make those classes. I don't know that I need them all, but we'll find out. We'll produce cons. Just lets me create more rules. OpenType. Consonants, spelt right. Not including that. Control V. I don't know why it tacks them in there. And vowels, which is just A, E, I, O, U. A, E, I, O, U. And special. I don't even know that I need special. I'm not going to be comparing it to anything else. Backspace. We're going to come back over to the text editor, which I realize you can't see at the moment. Copy that line of special glyphs and come back in here and paste it in. So now when I go back to my features file, I should be able to write a rule in here. Not sure where I want to do it. Try it in here. That says, let's see, sub brackets A, E, I, O. I probably don't even need those classes. U, close brackets, all of the special consonants, close bracket, by, bracket, A, what do we call it? A underscore alt init, space E underscore alt dot init, space I underscore alt dot init, space O underscore alt dot init, space U underscore alt dot init, close square bracket, semicolon. Now, that should be a sub that will say, when you find any of these consonants here, oh, I have to put a tick in there to say, replace any of these consonants in here when it appears before any of these over here by that. And that may or may not work. That might screw everything up. And these should actually say a.init. Well, I'll just cut and paste it. Otherwise, we would be replacing all vowels. And this might be a problem where I didn't actually create init versions of each of the consonants. So we will save that. We will compile it and see if it produces an error in the output, and it does not. And then we will go to preview and we will test that. So AR should be joined, but AD should not, and it has not worked. What happened in there? Right at the start, A, D. It has A in it. It is not applying that rule, or it's not making any sense to it. So how are we going to do this? Maybe I was being too ambitious. Let us try just A before D. Maybe this rule is missing something essential that I'm not seeing. So I can ram that out with a number statement and put another one in there. And I'm going to make a lookup called special so that when you create a lookup, I'll backtrack. Whenever you hit a key on the keyboard, the font scans through the features file, which can be just huge. It's at lightning speed. It must all be assembly code or something. But it scans through, and it will scan through until it finds a match, and then it will do that match. It'll perform whatever you told it to do. If you want to apply more than one rule and have it check, then you need to put stuff into lookups like this one here, lookup diphthongs. Every time the font scans the features file, it will go into lookup diphthongs and see if any of these match. Then it'll come down here and it'll look for my substitutions, and it will look and see if any of those match. I can tidy that up a little bit. So if I put in lookup special, it should apply this every single time. If I don't, then it could get so far and say, well, I'm done because I found a match and I can carry on to the next letter. So what we're going to do is say sub a dot init when it appears before D by a underscore alt dot init. See if we can get that one sub working. So that's an A before a D. Save, compile, go to preview, and A, D. It is not doing it. Now, that is probably, now that I look at it, because all of this needs to appear after I've sorted stuff into inits and everything. It doesn't know what's in an init at that point. So tidy that up because it looks like crap. Save, compile. I just realized you didn't see it. Try that again. A, D. Still not doing it. Ah, I am getting an error in my compile. That's why. 59. Look up special. Special. Lookup name special already defined. Feature liga lookup final. Oh, so I can't use the name special. Okay. God knows why. It must be something specific to the fonts. Init vowels. Call it that instead. And I'll put you back on here so you can see it. I wasn't noticing that. Save. Now called init vowels. When I compile, it produces no error. And now it's not showing the D. That's just weird. Odd. Why is it doing that? Oh, sorry, you're not seeing that. It's not showing the D. But I know why that is. Because in this line here, I said sub A init D by alt init there. I didn't put a tick after the first one to say substitute that one, but not the D. Otherwise, it will do a multi-substitution and I can have it replace multiple letters at once. There's A, D. Why is it not? Sub A init tick. It's not doing it. Whereas if I type in AT, no problem. AD, it replaces the also, it's not defining a space. Space. Space has a fixed value. We want to set it to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, so it's slightly higher, wider than it has been. But I don't know why it's not defined. That's a little odd. Showing up as not def in the now it's showing a space. Okay, good. Why is it replacing the D? Okay, back to features. Sub a init tick D by a alt init. That should not be replacing the D because there is a tick there. So let us take this rule down here. Put it in here. Take out the rem statement there. Take out that one there. Let's see what it does now. See if it does it to everything. A, D, A, M, keeps that. A, P, A, L, D, it is doing something very strange. You are not seeing the preview. Save. Compile. When I type in A, M, no problem. A, L, no problem. A, S, no problem. A, D, it gets rid of the D. And that does not make any sense. What is happening there? D exists here. I can type in space DAD. No problem. D exists. The rule down here should be applied. Oh, okay. I am being inordinately thick. Control copy, Control X, come down here, Control V, clean it up because that was a very bad cut and paste. And save and recompile. And now it does it. There. Okay, so what happened was I had a lookup called special that was before the sorting for init, initial, and final, and I rewrote it as being below that, but I cut and pasted it. So it still existed up top there. It objected to me using the name again, so I changed the name. And then I rewrote the rule and put it in the top one where it still wasn't being applied and left the one down below there that was still getting rid of the D. So it's just me being thick. Now it shows here, we'll tighten that up a little bit by getting rid of some blank lines, but now it shows here as init vowels, a lookup that's executed after these ones that says substitute any of these vowels. That tick says substitute the stuff there. The fact that it's in square brackets means any one of those can match. Substitute those by the alt versions of them that I produced, but only when they appear before these consonants. So when I go back to here, I should be able to go A, L, displays it no problem. A, D, it displays it without the little bit there. E, T dot, and it displays it without the little hook connecting it there. So that means that we have a special version of those initial vowels that will display differently under those circumstances when it appears in those spots. Now, I don't know if we need to do anything with finals. I might actually be ready to save this and generate a font. It's probably at that point. And then I've got to send it off to his nibs, the guy that contacted me in on Reddit, and say, here, download this and give me a shot and tell me what needs, changing and what feedback you have and everything else like that. Overall, I think it's a pretty good start. I'm sure there'll be lots of refinements. Like, okay, if I bring up C here, that's a basic W shape. It's pretty damn boring. I can leave it that way, or I could say round the corners down here, or round the bits in here, and maybe make it a little more visually distinct and visually appealing by doing that. I could take all of these vowels that have a descender here and put a curve in there, or a curve up here to make them a little more distinct when you're typing something out. Right now, it's deliberately blocky and simple. I test a lot of these things by just picking words, geographical words and stuff like that I know. So one of the ones I use a lot is Tashkent, which I know absolutely nothing about as a place, but it sounds fascinating. So that would be Tashkent there, right? You can see the T with the A joined, SH, T with an E joined, N, and K. I could produce some special ligatures that join the N to the K, for instance, and produce a special thing for, or N to a T, sorry, so that I could produce NT as a specific thing. I could round this top left-hand side of each of these vowels to make it more distinct. I've already made them all descenders so that they're more distinct. And I could do things like that are, I mean, I've done it with the angle here and the angle here on some of them and the curve there and the curves here and stuff already. I could do a bit more of that stuff. I don't want to overdo it. I want to have enough stuff that is visually distinct that it stands out, but I also don't want to have it look too severely blocky. Mala. Okay. The M is this shape here, which is repeated as part of the L here. So maybe I should round the corners on this to make it more distinct. And I could do something like that pretty easily, actually. Let's try that out. Easy to fix if I don't. Back to here. And what we're going to do is select the knife and cut that connection there, and then the cursor, and drag that back to, say, there, and this down to here. Now you'll note that this becomes a stick shape here. It's not solid. That's because it is not closed again. So I'll take the Bezier curve and draw a line from there to there. And then we will take the cursor and we will right click on that line and say to curve. And then we get the little controllers here so that we can change that to be a curve like that. And without wanting to overdo it, I probably want to echo that again down here and then just leave it that way. So it's, do I? I could put it in here too instead. So it would be curve, straight, straight, curve, straight. Yeah, actually, I might try that. So we take the knife right here, cut that one, do the exact same process. Drag that up to there, drag that over to there, grab the Bezier curve, connect it, grab the pointer, no, select the line, and go to curve, drag that 1 point and that 1 point, and we have a nice even curve. And then when you go back to preview, this is a little more distinct from that and from other ones that are similar. What else is similar there? If we did making a word up just to increase the similarities. C, A, L, M. Very blocky, right? But I think putting a curve on the start of each of those makes that a little more visually distinct from this one here that is just a straight sort of squared U shape. And I might want to apply that here, put a same sort of curve here at the start, so that if we had another C after this, it would be more visually distinct. I mean, obviously it's 2 prongs versus 3 prongs or whatever you want to call it, but it's kind of harsh. So if we go into C, we can do the exact same thing. And I'll get feedback from other people, I'm sure. That is not what I wanted to have happen. Zed. I didn't pick the knife, that's why. Same thing. That means I'm going to have to do this in a couple of locations. No. Couple of locations, probably. And Bezier. Line. No. Line to line. Cursor. Right click. Nope, didn't select the line. Select the line, then right click to curve, and adjust those. That to there. You're not seeing me do it there, you're seeing me do it on the previous screen, I just realized. But if you see what I mean now, those are just a little visually distinct from the other ones around them. And the idea is that the curve at the start of the glyph on the left-hand side is an indication that it is a new glyph. So that little curve, it doesn't change the basic shape. The basic shape still has to be distinct, but the little curve might help make it a little more visually distinct when what you're seeing is this big block of text and symbols and stuff that you're still learning how to read, right? Now, in fact, this combination is never probably going to occur in the language. There's probably almost always going to be a vowel in there. C, I. So I could do the same thing on this one here and the others that have. I've done it on there. I could do the same thing on J and DH and probably H bar and TH, maybe even the R dot and R, that sort of thing. Those sorts of small changes can be made to help make it differentiate a little bit without overdoing it, I hope. Okay, so save. I don't think there's anything more I need to do with this yet, other than small visual changes like that, which I will do at a later point here. But anything else I think is going to be feedback from uh, the person that asked me if I would give this a shot. So I think I'm going to leave it at that. And I mean, this is a live stream. It'll end up on my channel as a video. Um, and I will do a follow up once I've gotten more feedback on things. But I think I have everything basically working here. I haven't actually produced a font yet. I have to do that and put it in some documentation, but I'm going to make these minor changes first. So, to whoever is out there watching me right now, thank you very, very much. And I hope you have a great day. Excuse me. I will be doing more live streaming on YouTube. I will hopefully be making the videos that I have intended to make and posting those. It's uh, it's a lot of work to produce a video for YouTube, and I keep finding other things that get in the way, basically. But um, I had fun doing this, and I'm a massive fan of creating writing systems, and I hope anybody who views this gets something out of it. And we'll see you next time.